we get to talk about teenagers. And that's important, I think, with storytelling. And Lyn Ford has this wonderful workshop called High School Storytelling Classroom Connection. And just that phrase itself, I think, can drum up a lot of thoughts and ideas for people. And this is happening on Saturday, April 13th, 2024, from 9 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. Mountain Time. But don't worry, if you go at that link at storycrossroads.org/all things story, you have a time zone converter and whatever time it is for you. But Lyn, I'd like to know about your feelings about teenagers. Some people love teenagers and high schoolers, and some people have kind of feelings about that. Tell us about your feelings about teenagers and how other people might think about teenagers.
Um, I usually work with younger children, Rachel, honestly, pre-K through, say, fourth or fifth grade. But more and more, I'm getting calls for students from grades 8 through 12 because we seem to be making a connection through storytelling and the communication skills that it helps to build or reinforce. And so I can't honestly say it was a plan to be with the teenagers. I mean, let's face it, they can be scary at times, because you don't know what their responses might be. At the same time, I come in as someone who's willing to learn from them. um, what interests them. I come in not prepared to try to use the language that they use with their peers or act like I understand everything that's going on with them. That would be an absolute lie. And they can pick up on the difference between a lie and a story being told. So I can honestly say that this path with teenagers is still a learning path for me. At the same time, things seem to be working beautifully, and I appreciate their honesty and what I can gain from them that I can use to develop more effective stories for them.
And in this, with high school storytelling, share a little bit more about what you mean. Is it working with the youth so that they can tell their own stories? Is it working more with teachers, whether that you are a teacher yourself or a storyteller? How do you see that balance or blend in this particular workshop?
There's a project that I've worked with for, I don't know, 14 years now, I think, where the young people are working towards sharing their personal stories. And I come in to model that skill as well as to help them with their own story sharing. So I bring some personal story, and there's a special way to share those stories honestly. Um, it's not that when I was your age, I had to walk to school 5 miles uphill both ways. That
Barefoot
doesn't
too,
work.
right? Barefoot.
Barefoot in the snow, yes.
Yes.
Digging in the snow with a spoon. That they don't relate to that. That's not effective. But I share models of personal story, and because of what I love to share, I also blend into that folk tale, perhaps a touch of folklore, a little family history. And then I give them a chance to reflect on what they've seen and experienced and to ask questions. And I ask them to ask questions specific to the difficulties they might be having as they're working on their personal stories. And then we go into some relaxation, laughter exercises, breathing exercises, so they're more comfortable and they're willing to play. And then they go into small groups. Usually it's about 5 max, and share personal story. Even though some of them say, well, I can't do that, or I don't have a personal story. I have some prompts for them, and they all share. And then they coach one another. What did you see? What did you hear? What did you want to know more about? What did you see working most effectively from your storyteller? Each one has to share the story in no more than 5 sentences, so everybody gets a chance. And then they share with the larger group. They choose someone from their group, to share with the larger group, and then we can go into other
Right,
activities.
of course.
S-
But and this gives a hint or teaser, like this will be a virtual workshop, everyone, that you'll want to be a part of, to be able to engage with. And I appreciate it because I started storytelling as a high schooler, as a sophomore in high school, and now weirdly this is my 30th year in storytelling. So the fact that you are addressing and teaching about high school storytelling means a really big deal to me, and I'm hoping that teachers, storytellers, all of you will be able to enjoy that. One more question though is that I know you've had experiences with the teenagers. Are there a couple moments that come to mind with that? That either one-on-one or just in general with your teenagers that have stuck with you, whether for good or ill, but just things that have been memorable.
Um, there was one situation where, in sharing their personal stories, they'd each been given a large marker and a huge piece of paper on which to scribble their ideas, write in any direction, make those connections. And I noticed as I was packing up that over half the markers were gone. They had gone with those storytellers. Um, and I was a little bit surprised, but I thought, well, if they needed them and they're not going to use them to vandalize everything, it's okay. About 2 weeks later, I was at that site again, and when I went to put the markers away, most of them had come back. So there was a level of respect that had prompted them to return my markers, and that made me feel good, even though um, I didn't ask, okay, who took the markers or anything. I didn't, I wasn't going to do that kind of thing,
Right.
and destroy this level of respect that seemed to be growing. Um, so that was kind of a negative situation with a happy ending. Um, Another one was that I went into a group at a library, and we were sharing spooky stories. And in this circle, they got to share anything that had felt kind of creepy to them.
Mm.
It went beautifully, but it was supposed to be a one-off. And the next week, the librarian called me and said, they're back. They thought we were doing this every week. I apologize, but can we set something else up? And it made me feel so good, but it also helped me realize that a one-off session with any young people might not be as effective as trying to set up a series of presentations and sharings with them.
Well, wonderful. And it sounds like you were able to go back and continue that story with them, hopefully. But this is wonderful. And again, everyone, this is a virtual workshop that whether or not you can attend virtual live, it is recorded, so you can still enjoy it. It's best virtual live, of course. Obviously, the way to do it is just to go to storycrossroads.org/all-things-story. It's going to be on Saturday, April 13th, 2024, 9 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. Mountain Time. Again, that web link will get you to a place for a time zone converter if you just need to figure out depending on where you are in the world. So thank you so much, Lyn Ford. You're wonderful. Thanks for sharing these inspiring moments. And whether or not you have these great developed feelings for teenagers, this is your chance. This is your chance to really explore that. Until we tell again.